Kashmir Files, a film that documents the genocide of the Kashmiri Pandits in the Kashmir Valley. Hundreds and thousands of Kashmiri Pandits had to flee from their homes just in order to stay alive, and most of them still await justice. This movie, it was not promoted in the usual media platforms. Why? Because the owners of these platforms felt that this movie does not fit into their criteria of a politically correct movie. Big actors refrained from commenting on this movie or promoting it because it was inconvenient for them and they didn't want to sound politically incorrect. However, destiny has its own ways. The truth always ultimately comes out. Hence, the people of India took it upon themselves to promote this movie and they came out in large numbers to watch it. Literally every show now is going houseful. That's probably the reason why this movie, which was made just in 15 crore rupees, has made about 100 crore more rupees in sales revenue just within 1 week of its release. The purpose of making this video is not to gain watch time hours, it's not to gain more subscribers. I can do that by making other videos, right? The only purpose of this video is that at least one of you goes and watches this movie after watching this video. If that happens, the purpose of this video will be fulfilled. So what are we waiting for? Let's jump straight into the review. So the main character of this movie is a boy called Krishna. Krishna himself is a Kashmiri Pandit. His parents were killed during the Kashmiri Pandit genocide. However, he is never told how they were actually killed. He's always told that they died in an accident. Now Krishna grows up, he goes into university. All of us know that universities are plagued with leftist politics, leftist student unions and leftist professors. He is told there that the Kashmiri genocide never actually happened. And this professor Radhika Menon, she tells him one very profound thing, right? कि सिस्टम आज भी हमारी है भले गवर्नमेंट उनकी हो and that is what the government needs to do. We need to decimate this leftist ecosystem. We need to break it down brick by brick, right? And then Krishna's grandfather, who's played by Anupam Kher, he passes away and he tells Krishna to take his mortal remains back to his ancestral home in Kashmir. Along with his 4 friends, Krishna finally discovers what is the real truth of Kashmir, right? This movie also goes on to show the genocide which happened in Kashmir. Women weren't spared, nor were old people, and children were killed at gunpoint. अगर ये सब देखकर भी आप नहीं जागते, तो I don't know what will open your eyes, right? The history of Kashmir too is told very profoundly in this movie. Now let's look at what purpose this movie actually goes on to achieve, right? Imagine for a minute that you are a Kashmiri Pandit. You, your parents or your grandparents were forced out of their houses by these Kashmiri terrorists during the genocide. When you moved out to different parts of this country, your own government treated you as refugees and paid you a mere 600 rupees compensation for your loss. Whereas when these terrorists, they were killed by the Indian army during operations, the same government paid their families 2 lakh rupees. I mean, this is shameful on our part that we still refuse to condemn this. Even when the Kashmiri Pandits, they try to actually voice their opinion, to actually spread awareness about their own genocide, the left and the academia quickly manages to silence them. And the fellow Indians who are expected to speak up fail to do so because we don't have any knowledge or the courage to speak up. This movie tells the story of Kashmiri Pandits. In short, when you are persecuted, you want your voices to be heard by the rest of the country, and this is something that this movie fundamentally tried to achieve and has definitely achieved. Number 2, this movie completely exposes the narrative of the left in India. The left in India acts as if only one particular community has the claim over victimhood in this country. All the other communities are silenced when they share their experiences about persecution or genocide. Why? Because secularism. The left in India has been wearing this fake veil for quite a lot of time now, and I'm not at all surprised. I still remember in the 1990s there was this one lady journalist who actually came on television and said, oh, the Kashmiri Pandits, they were persecuted because they were actually wealthier, they occupied better government jobs, and they had more control over the resources of Kashmir compared to the Kashmiri Muslims. That was her own line, right? And she tried to play it as if there was no religious angle to it, which is completely false. And this movie does away with that narrative. Number three, this movie completely tells you about the identity of Kashmir. Kashmir was named after Rishi Kashyap, right? It has been the land of Shadapit. It has been the land of Shaivism. Hence, for all practical purposes, it has been the land of Shiva and Ma Saraswati. All the Hindus across India should claim Kashmir as their own, and they have the right and the duty to defend it, because Kashmir has been the seat of Sanatan Hindu Dharma for so many centuries. Even Adi Shankaracharya in the 9th century went all the way from Kerala to Kashmir to gain spiritual knowledge. And this movie completely tells you about this. When I went to see this movie, it didn't feel like any of the actors were actually acting in this movie. It all felt so damn real. The atrocities were real, the genocide was real, and each event was depicted in an accurate manner, according to me. Moreover, when there was this last scene when Krishna finally discovers the truth and he gives the speech in this leftist campus, it was highly emotional to me, because I, as a university student, know what is the state of university campuses in India, right? And it felt so good that when you know the truth and you try to speak about it brick by brick from the grassroots levels, you can try and uproot this leftist ecosystem. And that exactly was the takeaway for me as a person in this movie. Criticisms. This movie has been subject to a lot of criticisms by various people, particularly of the left. They say that this movie will create communal disharmony in India. Now, if this movie, which is completely based on the truth, creates communal disharmony in India, I think it is the other side which is really intolerant, which cannot listen to the voices of other persecuted people. It only wants its own voices to be heard. It wants to control the narrative. I personally congratulate Vivek Agnihotri and his entire team for bringing out the truth about the Kashmiri Pandit genocide. This movie, it also sends out a signal to other filmmakers in India that if you make a film on true stories of persecution, if you tell the people the truth, if you give the voiceless voices, then the people of India will watch your films, and again, it will lead to economical success as well. Now I know when you watch this movie, it will be completely worth it. But when you come out of the movie hall and you express your opinions, your views, there will be people who will come and try to suppress you. They will brand you as communal. They'll ask you questions like, oh, what is your priority? Is it your religion or your country? Give them this answer. My religion says country first. Sri Ram said, Janani Janmabhumischa Swargadapi Gariyase, which means my motherland is greater than the heavens in which the gods reside. Right? So go ahead, watch this movie, express your opinions down in the comment section. Like this video if you haven't. Spread this video as an awareness video to as many people as you can. Subscribe to us if you haven't. You can also follow us on Instagram. Link is down in the description. See you again next week. Till then, goodbye and Jai Hind.